Hello everybody, this is a test. Hello everybody. Alright, I believe I've got audio now, so that sounds like it's working. Great, so we're live then, and so it begins. Today we're going to be talking about overlay networks, we're going to be talking about sCrypt, and user identity on the BSV blockchain. I'm going to see what I can't build for you here today. I've just been having some audio issues here at the beginning, but I think it's resolved now. So this is going to be as much for me as it is for anybody else a learning experience. We're going to see how it goes. I'm going to get some links sent out here on the socials just to get started. So let me go to YouTube first and actually see about getting this pulled up here so that way I can share it. I would encourage people to share this broadcast as we get started. So that way I can share it. I would encourage people to... All right, it appears to be working. I'm just going to go to Twitter here and let everybody know. Overlays today. We're going to be talking about sCrypt and identity. On the BSV blockchain. So I'm going to be building an app here today, I think, if I can manage as much. And we're going to be showcasing some of the tooling that's been put together recently on the BSV blockchain. I think we're going to be building an app for user identity. And specifically, we'll be building an app for having counters on the BSV blockchain and actually tracking those. So a very simple app, but something that I think is going to tie together a few pieces. Something that I hope everybody can understand and follow along with, and maybe they'll be able to use some of the tools to build other things as well. So everything here is going to be open. In fact, the first thing I'm going to do here is actually create a GitHub, just so that everybody who wants to follow along, just make a new GitHub here for this. Let's just say we'll call this, I think the app is going to be called Meter. So we'll call it counters up and down. This is going to be public. So we're building open source software here on the BSV blockchain. And I'm just going to create this repository. So we've got this app called Meter. And now I want to, I think I have a to-do TS project. Let me just go ahead and fork a to-do app. So we do have to-do TS, and I think this was created just about, a couple months ago, this last update, and what I want to do here is fork this, I think. So inside the Meter app, I want to obviously set up my Git and everything. And what we're going to be building is going to be an app where people can create counters and then increment them and decrement them. And it's going to be using sCrypt. We're going to see who built the counters and maybe even eventually keep a log of how many times they've been incremented and decremented, and maybe eventually, after I get all the basic building blocks in place, have some cost associated with that is kind of my idea. So I think I've got a, right. Just getting things set up here. I'm going to clone this into this repository, and I'm going to move that to front end. And I also think I'm going to need some sCrypt tooling. So we'll need to kind of get that where it needs to be. And so one of the things I want to do throughout this little project as well is kind of go through this with everybody, because I have been away from the sCrypt scene for a little bit. I've been building other things, and so I'm not really in the headspace. So that has some advantages here for all of us watching, though, on the stream is you know, and including myself, is I'm going to have to actually check out how to do this again. And so that's going to give people an insight into, you know, maybe what some of the resources are. And also, I'm going to open up a text edit as well, just so that I can keep a note, a running list of notes for things that need to be improved, or maybe where I see opportunities to enhance things. So, so yeah, that's kind of the idea. Let me go ahead and open up our VS Code editor here first off. And so yeah, I hope everybody's able to see everything as well as I am here. I'm just going to open an integrated terminal. Let's go to the front end and just install the dependencies here, see if that part works at least. And then we'll open up this app. And I'm going to be using the production version of a Babbage MetaNet client. So it's opening up a little pop-up here and asking me if the To-Do app has permission to access To-Do tokens. So that means that app seems to be pretty happy. We'll just open it up here. It's loading. And we'll see if I have any To-Do tokens currently. It doesn't look so. Okay. All right, so this is where we're starting. It's the To-Do app, right? And I want to make some changes right off the bat. Like, I want to make this a counter. I want to make this a list of public counters, right? So my goal with this app is you can go on here, you can see all of the counters that are, you know, values, basically, variable values that can go up or down. And you can increment or decrement them, and you can see who created them. And that's kind of the first little idea. So there's some changes that we can start making in the front end before we even integrate a back end yet. So let's just go ahead and do that. Obviously, okay, I have this this integrated terminal. I'm also going to get rid of the Git out of that directory so that we don't have nested Git repositories. I'm going to go ahead and open up my app, and let's try to actually build something. So I'm going to go to the actual user interface here. Looks like there's some well-commented code here for dealing with the actual to-do list. And that app, if you're not familiar, kind of, let's just give a tutorial of where we're starting, right? So like, all right, so the to-do list app, I just forked it as an example. You can enter a test task, you can create it, and then it asks, you know, whether you'd like to allow these things to happen. We'll just go ahead and allow that, and then allow the transaction to be created. And then suddenly, you know, I've got this list item. So then it's going to ask for permission to list these things in my basket, and then I can see it, right? I can select it and actually redeem that token and get it back. And suddenly now I have that money back in my account, right? So that's kind of the idea for where we're getting started here. But I want to modify this first, right? I want to modify this in a lot of ways. Let's start by making a simple change, though. Let's change the title to meter. So it looks like we're looking at some code here that has a few things. Let's just say meter counters up and down. and just update our GitHub link there briefly. And so now we're going through and right. This one says add icon, right, for example. And here we're going through our tasks. So I'm going to start renaming some variables here just to kind of get this app to align with what I want. I'm going to build the front end first, and then we're going to go together and make the back end work. But I wanted to start with something that was open source and then actually just allow people to follow along if they want. So yeah, you can create a meter, so that's create, obviously. So line 64 is good. And then is MNC missing, Metanet client missing, I think that's correct. It's going to be called create meter now. Actually, is there going to be a label for that? I don't think there's going to be a label yet. Create amount, I don't think is going to be, let's see. It's going to be meters loading. And yeah, we're just going to build, the goal is to build a public list, which means we're going to need to use overlays, overlay networks. So these are going to be meters. And I'm just going to rename this. And we're going to be showing how this kind of works. So right now I'm looking at, the no to-do items, right? And it refreshes. Right now we can see the title updated at the top as we kind of set up. But let me, hang on, let me just verify something here. Just checking in on a little warning. Let's see, is it going to give me a reason to actually, just going to open the studio here really quick. Just pardon me for a second as I figure out what's going on with a little warning, it looks like, on this live stream. Let's see. So, yeah, we're going to be, stream's bit rate is lower than the current recommendation. Well, I think that makes sense given, right, what we're looking at. If people are having issues seeing or hearing, just post in chat. I'm seeing a warning here, but I don't think that's applicable too much. Okay. Anyways, yeah, getting back to it. We want to be able to create meters. So I'm just going to modify the create modal. And I think we'll allow people to create meters that have values. And let's see, so we've got, okay. Let's change this, no meters, right? Use the button below to start a meter. And then, yeah, allow create to be there. So what comprises a meter currently? We've got a checkbox, which doesn't really apply. Let's actually, yeah, we're going through here and we're actually mapping, this is good. We're mapping the meters and listing them. So if I wanted to build something that was a little bit different, looks like we've got a list item, and we want to kind of have some more advanced things on here. So I think a slider, or wait, no, we don't want a slider, we want a value. So actually, I do think we're going to want this. The idea here is to have an increment and a decrement button, and to allow for a meter to go up or go down. So maybe a lot of this code is kind of getting in my way, actually, and it might not be the best. I'm just thinking of the best way to implement this here. And I want to, right, obviously, no meters yet. I can click this button. And then what do I want to happen when I click this button? I need to be able to create a meter. And a meter really just is a value that goes up or down. So there's a modal then that pops up, and the modal says something like, you know, this is the modal I'm talking about. We've got a form on submit equals handle create submit. So describe your task, right? I don't think we really need any of this anymore. I think really a meter doesn't really have anything at the beginning. So a meter can be incremented or decremented after creation. We can annotate our types as well. So currently we have this meters. So we've got this task type. And let's actually go up to jump to declaration. So let's just change this. We've got a value, and it's a number. And that's it. And then a token. Yeah, so a token is actually going to be the same type. Right, that's actually the BSV token. So meters have numbers, and that's about it. Like their value. Right, so meters start at 1 and they can go up or down. So this task thing is imported, I imagine, somewhere. Yeah, so I can see this, and I'm going to actually just say every task is a meter. Can I not do that? Okay, so I wanted to just kind of set that, but right. Selected task, right? Obviously meters is going to be like that. And so now we want to kind of, when we list these, we've got the current value, the plus and the minus button. So here we are actually listing them like so. So I'm just going to delete this, and we'll just say decrement there's its value, and then that's going to be increment. Now we gotta start to think about the actual logic a little bit. So we've got use async effect. Oh, I see. Okay, that's for loading everything. We'll change all of that in a second. So this is going to be using a completely different architecture. So this is an async effect. Oh, I see. That's different. Handle create submit. This is what we want to actually create a new meter. So this function will run when the user clicks the OK in the creation dialog. And we've got this, and we're wanting to actually this we're not actually going to worry about. Because there's no real mistakes a user can make, right? We're going to create a loading bar. In the past, we would talk about encrypting a task and all of that, but with these meters, they're very lightweight, right? So we've actually just wanting to let's skip all of this. Let's not do any of this. We just want to so the goal here is just to get something to show up on the screen, right? So original meters, arrow, right? Don't think we need this even. We've got a value. Let's just set the initial value to 1 for a given meter. And then the token, I think we're just going to cheat for now and just use that. Okay. So we don't need that. We don't need that. We will set that to false. Any errors? And then create loading. Okay. All right. So I think now if I were to try to save this, looks like we've got a few errors, but let's see. Okay. Looks like line 146. Sats does not exist on meters. So we're trying to use these properties once again. So I'm going to actually go in here and probably delete a bunch of stuff. There's currently the concept of a selected meter, which I don't think is going to be necessary. So we're going to have to delete a bunch of this because a lot of this is actually just for to do, right? For example, we're not using that at all. And we'll start to define some of these protocols later, but I really just want to get the data model working first, right? So we don't have that. We don't have that. Create loading does exist, right? But really, selected task, nope. complete open and complete loading. Nope, those are not useful anymore. So I am just going to start deleting things that I don't think are necessary. I don't think we need this entire thing. I'm going to recode a bunch of this, but not in the same way, so it's going to be deleted. There's not going to be the concept of loading something from a basket. We're going to use overlays, and we're going to build that later. Okay, so that's fine. So open complete modal. There is no complete modal anymore. All right, here we've got this. I'm just reading through here to make sure all of this code is going to be correct. We have a list. We see the non ones. We have that. I'm just going through here. On click. There is no concept of an on click for that now. The list item is no longer a button. In fact, it might not even be a list item. It might just be a div. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit easier. I'll set some custom styling on it or something at some point. But yeah, because this is a list. But I think that's also just going to be a div. Because we're not using a list format. I mean, it is a list of meters, but there's not, well, no, they're not going to be, I don't think. I mean, I can try to, these are all semantics, but then it's front-end code, so I'm so used to working on the back end nowadays. All right, I'll leave that there. I won't make it a button, though. All right, this is going to be set create open. That's the creation modal that we set up before. I think all of that's still good. And then here we've got the completion modal, which I think is not going to exist anymore. So we'll just delete all of that code. And now I should have less errors, I hope. It looks like we're compiling successfully. It's going to be loading forever currently, which is a problem because, of course, we don't have a way of looking anything up anymore. So I'm just going to try to set a use effect in here. In fact, I could, if I can remember how to use this, I should be able to populate this with some dummy data just to get started with, right? Let's just say there's a value of 42 on that one. And there's a token of something as token, just to make that happy. And then we'll say set loading, or set meters. That's just some dummy data to get us started, okay? Now we're looking at an actual meter that has value 42, and you can decrement or increment the meter. Of course, those buttons don't do anything yet, but we're getting a little bit closer to what we want. If I add a meter, just go ahead and add it. Now it shows up at the top, and I can decrement or increment. All right, so now let's make those buttons work. That shouldn't be too hard. We just need some logic here to actually do that. I'm going to go down to the buttons, and I'm going to add some handlers. So we need a handle increment and a handle decrement handler. And we will build this up into a bit more complexity over time, but let's do decrement first. And I think we're going to want a meter index. Right, and okay, so just like we have up here where we're actually just doing a set like this. Let's just go ahead and this is a more simple function, so let's just actually, right, I think we'll make a copy sub meter index dot value minus minus, and then return copy. And that's of course a number. Okay, so I think that's going to decrement it. And we'll do the same for increment. Okay, plus plus. And now we'll go hook up our buttons. So we got a couple buttons down here for each of the meters. And I'll improve the styling as well, but I'm just not very good at that, so we might do it a little bit later. Let me go ahead and find this. Yeah, so here's the decrement button. So it's going to be on click equals a function that when invoked will handle decrement with index I. And I think that's pretty similar to what we're going to want for the increment as well. So now we should just have a simple React app that when I click this button, what do you know, it works. So we've got that. And now we just have a whole bunch of blockchain stuff to do, I think. This is a good little intro to this. I can create a new one. I just want to confirm this is working, right? Control each of these independently. Okay. Yeah, I'm satisfied that's working. Okay, so now let's get into what we're actually doing with these. The first blockchain-y thing I want to try to do is add a creator to the meters. So each meter has a value, and it also has a person who created the meter. And that's going to be their blockchain-based digital identity. So eventually these meters are going to be sCrypt smart contracts, and we're going to register them on an overlay network that's going to keep track of them publicly so that everybody can run their own overlay services instance, keep it updated with the network, and then contribute new increments and decrements to existing meters. And we'll also have a way to track who has incremented and decremented and all of that. But let's first keep things a little bit simpler and just say, all right, I want to know who created this. So the string, we could call this creator identity key. That's who created this meter, right? So now we got to discover our own identity key when we use this. We have the Babbage SDK, I believe. Let me confirm that. So I'm just going to read through here. Looks like we got a few things from the Babbage SDK, but we don't have we don't have the one thing we need. So there's get public key. So now every create operation, we're going to need to do this. So let's just get our public key. So in the Babbage SDK, to get your public key, pass in identity key true to that, and then the creator identity key is equal to, and what type is that? It's got to be an await. Await, yeah, so what is my type? Is that a string directly? Okay, it is a string directly, I think. So if my types are correct on the Babbage SDK, then that is now going to work. I'll just add a comma there. And now we've got a creator identity key. And we'll go ahead and do the same thing in the initial load just for now, so that it says that every to-do list item is, and I don't know if this use async effect thing is. I should be able to make this async now. That way I can just, there's that, and then the creator identity key property is going to be that. Whoops. All right, and now it's asking for my identity key, so I'll just go ahead and grant it. Right now, every token here is going to have my identity key. Now, I think there's a package that exists on NPM, and I'm going to go look this up now. And this is where I meant I'm not in the headspace, but I think that it's Metanet Identity React, and I think I've got identity from here. So if I want to install this, I'm just going to do this into this project. I should be able to turn my public key into a representation, a user-friendly representation of my identity within the system. And as I do that, I'm just going to check the chat to make sure everything's good. Yep, we're just installing that dependency here. And so yeah, now I can, right, I have that installed. I should be able to use it. So I'm just going to go back to the documentation here, and I'm going to copy what I want to use. And is there actually a identity card? I thought there was an identity card in there, something that gives me a representation of. I'm going to try to import it and just see if it's there. So I have that notepad I'm going to open up, and there is identity card. Okay, so I have an identity card, and I think that's a React component that when I want to render these counters, okay, so I'll save that, and I'll see what my, looks like I've got some successful compilation. I'll go here, and I'll go back to the app. It's actually asking for identity key again, and authorite with the overlay services engine and all this stuff. So let's just go over here. And now I can see that I have my actual identity. So saying that that's you know what I've done to create this. So obviously the styling here isn't the greatest, and you know, I can try to fix that. But yeah, it's saying actually my true government ID is being represented as the creator of this counter. So it linked my identity on the metanet to that. Again, the style sheets on this are not the greatest, but I wonder if I can actually pass in any other props here to help out with that. Identity props. So one of the things I'm going to make a note about is that it'd be nice to see docs for identity card. Because if I look at the README on the package itself, right, it doesn't really give me any. It might actually, but I'd like to be able to use this. So right, okay, I'm gonna check out the source code for this just to see how this would work if I'm gonna go actually use it. I got identity card in components, and I wonder what props are available. For example, okay, theme mode. So I think there is an option to do dark mode. Theme mode equals dark. Let's see if that actually lets that work. So now, as we can see, oh, unknown identity. It's going to resolve. Aha, there it is. Right. Now it's showing me my counter and who created it, right? That's the first little blockchain integration. So now we can see, you know, if this were a public list and if this were actually on chain, we'd have a little basic app here where we can increment and decrement counters that were created by somebody. And that's kind of the whole point of this app here, is that you can create a counter and you can make it go up or down, and somebody can see that. So that's the beginning. This is a user interface. Now let's focus on how do we actually make this go on chain. And to do that, we're going to need a few things. We're going to need to get back into the sCrypt smart contract stuff. And we need to actually create and deploy an sCrypt smart contract that comprises a counter and that has, you know, a token. And then we'll need to use an overlay to track that, actually validate it and everything. So let's start out with just a basic, you know, sCrypt smart contract. And there is some code that enables that. I think we've created a few examples in the past. Let me have a think here. I know that we demonstrated, for example, the CPU debugger user interface. So just got to have some sCrypt code in here. Yeah, there's artifacts, right? So there's some documentation, and I think some useful things. This is a Bitcoin CPU that we created, but there's SRC contracts, and then there's, you know, some stuff in here that is necessary. So I'm just okay, I'm gonna go to my terminal window. I'm gonna actually go and pull the latest version of this code. Looks like just a few updates. And I'm going to copy a few things into the front-end directory. Firstly, sCrypt ts config, and I think there's an is there anything else? I'm just thinking, you know, as I pull in the sCrypt dependencies to start writing a smart contract here for this, how we would go about that. And I think we can copy those files into there. And then I think if I look in package.json, there's got to be some things we need. sCrypt CLI, I think, is the main one. And then I believe it's sCrypt CLI compile. So I'll go ahead and this is using npx actually, so I don't think it needs to be installed. But what I'll do is create a contracts folder in here. And I'm going to make a new file called meter.ts for the contract. I'm going to leave that blank for now. I'm going to go to package.json, add my compilation command into here. And that should be everything that's necessary in theory. So I don't think this will actually compile because there's no content in that file, but I just want to see what's going to happen here, make sure. All right, so right, that's fine. It's going to install a couple things here. It's just running the npm related commands here, and just going to check once again on my mobile phone whether things are just want to make sure everything's working properly. And yeah, it looks like we've just got this installed. So there's no artifacts directory. We can fix that. Oh, did I ask the question again? I thought right. Okay, so yeah, there's no things. Now, I'm going to go and actually get the counter contract from sCrypt. So, what is it? Boilerplate? Should just be a very simple contract here. Counter.ts. So yeah, let's just go ahead and copy this contract. Should be very, once again, we're going to start out simple here, and then, whoops, okay. Just going to paste this in. So we've got and I think I need to install sCrypt TS just to make sure we have that as a dependency available. We'll also install lib if memory serves, and I don't know if we need CLI or not. I don't think so. Okay, now we can import these and actually see our, right, and it's going to say what, your type So it looks like some TypeScript errors here. Decorator function return type property descriptor is not assignable to type void or function void. Okay. Looks like some TypeScript related issues. Looks like we're just building our state output here. So here's where we need to actually build the on-chain component with this sCrypt contract. And we need to figure out how to get this to work. If I compile this, I wonder if there's going to be issues. Okay, that looks like it worked. So I think these TypeScript related issues are because of my tsconfig mismatching, but actually in reality I can import this and use it. I could be wrong about that, but I think I'm going to try it. So if I go and import, something from the contracts directory, and then I want to call that contract, obviously, there are a few things that we'll want to figure out as part of that process. I don't think we'll be using push drop as part of this project. I'm just deleting some extra imports here so we can keep things clean, or as clean as we can make them. So we'll just go ahead and import meter. Is it duplicate? Okay, let's actually check the code here to see how that is exported. So I'm just going to export class. All right, I'm going to rename this to meter. Meter contract. Let's go ahead and import meter contract. Okay, there we go. We will, of course, need to hydrate the actual and then I think it's meter contract dot, whoops, from or how am I doing this in other? I think I'm using the CPU contract in a few places here. Oops, no, it's load artifact. That's what it is. And then you pass in the actual meter contract JSON. That way we can actually use our sCrypt smart contract within our application. All right. Now it looks like we just got a few errors here. Looks like, okay, now those errors are gonna present issues. So how do we then address that? So we've got the contract here, which is using the annotations I wonder if this is a TS config issue. And if so, maybe whether we should have started with another code base versus starting with this one, just so that we could get that to work properly. I did copy the sCrypt TS stuff, but I'm just wondering whether that's going to be enough to get this to work. So of course, there are some things here where it's difficult to get things working with sCrypt, because of TypeScript here. So I'm going to enable that firstly, and then I'll try to maybe restart the development environment here, and possibly that might be all that's necessary to get this working. Looks like that error appears to have gone away. So, okay, and now we've got only one error. Arguments can only be iterated through when using the down level iteration flag or with a target of ES 2015 or higher. Okay, and that error is within line 15 of this contract. Okay. It doesn't like the ... syntax. So if I change my target from ES5 to ES 2015, it's possible that if I restart, I might be able to get somewhere with getting this to run. Okay, it looks like we have successfully got some element of this to run. We got our our contract here. All right, so now how do we construct this, right? We want to actually use a counter, and we want it to persist and everything. So let's go ahead and just use our smart contract. Let's go to here where you actually want to create one of these in the handle create. Right now, like I said, we're kind of just cheating, right? We're just saying, oh, this as token, empty object. But let's try to create a and again, our oops, is it new? Meter equals new meter contract. Cannot find. I've got a. There we go. And it's got to be 1n because it's a big integer. Possibly. So meter contract takes big int not available when targeting lower than ES 2020. Okay. So then I should be able to use big int implicitly, possibly? like that. All right, let's see if that works. And then we want to actually build the locking script. So I'm going to actually go back and look at my CPU debugger code again, just because I'd like to see how we're building this locking script. And I like to apply it here as well. So execute real instruction, I think, is where that's going to be. First we execute. Is this just a big switch though? Oh, it's probably in the actual debugger. I didn't probably pull it out. If I go look in here, right, this starting to come back here. Handle load. And then here we had to deal with a whole bunch of stuff. Execute instruction. So I'm just looking at how to actually make this stuff go on chain. You know, use create action and all of that. Could be under broadcast puzzle solution. So just reading here. Got to do all that. Okay, it looks like here we're not actually creating. This is, you know, when you want to claim something. I'm just thinking, how do we actually get the original? Is it simpler? It might just be really simple. It might be like to locking script. So if we have a locking script, right? Meter. I think it might just be really simple like that. Okay, so if that's true, I kind of forgot how that worked for a second. But yeah, I think you can just create that. And so if I now go here and say yes, I want to create a new one. Okay, it looks like I have my locking script. Okay, great. All right, so now we have a locking script, which is kind of what we wanted. So we want to put that into a Bitcoin transaction and then put it on the blockchain. Let's go ahead and try to do that. So to put something on the blockchain, describe what you want, provide an array of outputs. Whoops. Okay, so now we should be able to actually create. Oh, I thought that that was actually imported from. Ah, right, there we go. So now we're creating a transaction, and we need to, I believe there's a thing called this is known as an envelope format transaction. Until we get beef everywhere, we're going to need to is that correct? Definitely. Should be available. Okay. So now we create beef, and we need to send this to an overlay. So let's go ahead and make sure we have the TypeScript SDK installed. And should be able to now send this to an overlay. So we got beef. So we'll go ahead and import transaction. We'll go from beef. Oh, we already have a transaction here, so we have beef TX. And I should now be able to broadcast this. So what I'm going to do is I want to, create an overlay network where people can register these meters and actually allow them to be used. So and here we'll pick up our first little, there's our topic manager, right? We got our broadcaster and we got our transaction. So all we got to do is send the transaction to the overlay. So let's just go ahead and do that. And you pass in a broadcaster, which in this case is going to be our broadcaster. And you'll either get a broadcast response or a broadcast failure. Okay. We no longer need to cheat quite so much on that, at least. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work, but I think that token is where it should be. Okay, so what we've just done here is created an instance of this sCrypt smart contract that contains just right now this counter, right? And we're going to try to broadcast it to an overlay network. So let me just to go ahead and try to run this and see what happens. Obviously, we need to create the overlay network that we're going to be using to receive that, but let's go ahead and just create one. So it's asking to spend some money, creating a transaction. We're loading, we're broadcasting, and we're going to see what happens here. Let's check out the network tab, see what's going on. Okay, so it looks like I'm trying to do a few things here. Got a few pending requests. Okay, so pending on some lookups. Here we're trying to look up right. So what's happening is we're trying to broadcast this transaction and see if that works or not. Oops, I just accidentally clicked out of that. Now I don't really have context into what's going on. I'll check the console. Okay. That looks to be a... Okay, okay, we just got a... Oops, failed to load resources. So we got an error. Let's see. It says ERR no hosts interested. It says description no hosts are interested in receiving this transaction. Well, that makes sense because you know, our overlay service doesn't exist yet. So you know, looks like there was some issues, timeout issues on the broadcast. I'm going to write that down as well. There's another bug here, but not a fatal one. It did end up working. It just took a while for all those connections to kind of time out. We should be able to configure that and whatnot. But yeah, it tried to create this transaction. I believe the transaction actually did get created successfully. Here we can see our new counter here. But now we need to actually build an overlay network to register and track all of these different things. I think I'm going to make this a multi-part thing. I'm going to commit the code that I have so far, and we can see where things end up after that. But let me, yeah, I have this on GitHub. I'm going to leave a link. Let's see. I'm just going to say initial front end. And let me just make sure I'm not committing anything insane like node modules. You don't want to commit your node modules folder to GitHub. And let's see. We'll do that. Should be able to push this repository. Let me confirm for everybody here that the front end is actually live on that. So it's going to be meter. And yeah, we have a front end directory here that's going to have all that code in it so far. So in the first part of this video series, what we've done so far is create, and I'm going to leave a link to the actual chat here. Okay, yep, there it is. So there's a link. If you're on live chat, you can check it out. What we've done so far is we have created a an application where you can have these meters that can increment and decrement in React. We have added a little identity badge for the creator, and we started to integrate sCrypt so that we have a smart contract that is based on the counter contract. We're creating that locking script and trying to broadcast it to the overlay network. Obviously the overlay doesn't exist yet, but I think in the next one we're going to do is build the overlay network that is responsible for actually tracking these, and then we'll have a public little app that by the end of it everybody can have these counters they can increment and decrement, and kind of have a little fun with it after that. So this has been a good little start here. I didn't really know how this was going to go. I think it went pretty well. We ran into some issues, but we did resolve them. So stay tuned for the next one. I'll tweet out, I'll send out a post on X when we go live again to pick up where we left off and build that overlay network. It might be pretty soon. So thanks everybody for tuning in. This has been a bit of a new thing. Leave feedback. Let me know what you think. Of course, these are live, so we're going through in real time, trying to write code, build stuff, and see what happens. I think it's a good way to try to connect with people and demonstrate some of the capabilities as they come online. So stay tuned for the next one, everybody. Thanks for checking in today, and talk to you guys next time.